Yo, yo, what's going on, everybody? Watchlist time? Okay. Botched a bunch of stuff today. Gonna use this as a trade review session and look to get better moving forward. These days come around here and there, and it's only a waste if I don't take something from it. So, let's start off with. You know what? Let's start off with AVGO. Was dead right on this idea yesterday with this 187 breakdown. We got that today. It was gapping down through it in pre-market, and I did my absolute best waiting for 187 to fail and confirm. We are under it the entire pre-market. If it flushed straight down, I was okay to miss it. It held, ground higher, couldn't go green, hard crack right through that 187. I joined trend, took a $1.50 winner, and was just saying to myself, okay, that's 1-to-1 trade. I'll reshort pops with house's money and then look for that bigger picture trade, and missed out on the $10 a share move. Meanwhile, I'm not even paying attention to stuff like Nvidia that drives this entire sector. And this one's weak off the open when AVGO is grinding higher, which likely I could have taken advantage of this little trend break, knowing that Nvidia and the rest of the sector is weak. And then once you get this hard crack, double top off VWAP, failed fall through right here in these 940 time range, 941, 942. There we go. That's right here when you get this hard crack. So I could have possibly had a starter and then scaled and had bigger position, and seeing Nvidia stay heavy throughout the day might have given me some conviction there. So a reminder to me, trading sector moves, pay attention to the head of the snake. And then when I'm trading big picture daily breakdowns with the sector tailwind, it's definitely not an environment to scalp that trade and take a buck. It's set a stop, respect your plan, trust the setup. So yeah, botch that one a little bit, but it is what it is. Maybe in the coming days, if we hold these 177s and maybe a retest, maybe we get pullback, little bounce, couple days, roll over, something like that. So I think it's still worth watching, but definitely wish I had the position, would like to be swinging it, but it is what it is. And then IMTE comes around, and like I had said yesterday, liquidity traps, you got to wait for those key levels, and this one looked like a pretty good setup given who was underwater on this. So I draw this little lower high trend line because that's right where it topped out here on this morning shove. And if we take out this spike, let's just do this right through. So right here, market opens, you get this pullback, little consolidation, starts to grind, reclaim VWAP, grind, goes green. You get some volume starting to come in, some actual candles, not all this barcoding choppy action. And then once it starts to curl, push green, break highs, and with that lower high trend line was topping out right here, so now that it's reclaiming those 190s, yes, 2 was the key level. So right in here, I put in an order at 190, didn't fill. This thing swipes through 2. I put in an order 204, 205. I'm moving them up because I'm like, how far do I really want to chase this thing? In hindsight, any of this was a good entry, but I didn't want to chase it, and this thing just goes up and away without me. So I ended up missing this trade that I felt like I was prepared for from the scan last night. And so that one pissed me off. SMCI had this little trend break. I watched it break through 40. Same kind of thing that AVGO did. It was just weak. where you get this morning dip low, and then once it breaks, that opening range low is my typical entry spot, and now I'm risking $1 a share. How much lower do I really think this thing's going to go? Did I expect it all the way down to 36s? No. So I felt like it got a bit of ahead of itself. Candles started speeding up, volume with it. So I bought and got stopped out, trying a mean reversion long along a bigger picture downtrend, and just fighting a seller's market here when the chart is broken. GDHG had that one, took that one for a small winner because it started grinding me back. Waited for those pops, first red to green. That's what I said. Gap up, use prior day's highs as a guide. If we gap down, pops first red to green. We got pops, pulls back, barely breaks lows and continues to hold. So I have to cover. Barely even turned into anything. So those are my trades from today. VVPR, there was a name last week where a bunch of these breakouts, I think CRVO was one of them. Right here, where you're getting these breakouts, but they're grinding up like steadily into it. So risk reward just gets shot by the time this is breaking through those 430s. That's the daily highs. But market open was right here. Low a day was $3. So you're buying 430, risking $3. Like, it's risk is just so far away that it kind of ruins that trade, unless you're taking like anticipatory, but those typically result in losses. So 130 broke, it went to 550 and then gave back most of the move, almost all of it. So ended up with a failed breakout there. IBO, this one frustrated me. That's just the name of the day today. The day wasn't even bad. It was just missed execution, missed trades, all this kind of stuff, and it's just messing with my head. So we got those lower highs, pushed through it and failed, so definitely trapped some longs here. So once it failed, you get this lower high. I'm looking for that 3 to 310 level start to confirm. By the time I'm leaving, it's still holding, so no sense putting on a short position. Hour and a half or so after I leave, you get that crack, tops verse 3, and then you get that $1 a share fade, stress-free. So ended up missing that one as well. CRVO, no reason to trade this one. Never showed any signs of reversal, but the setup is still there. Never went green, never broke opening range, and now we're in that sub 8 level that I mentioned I wanted to see. So ideally, this little strength into close holds, maybe a slight gap down, flat open, use dips versus this low 7s, and then look for opening range highs. IMTE, that thing failed, so no reason to really watch that. I kept some names on the list just because I wanted to go over them, but not necessarily watching them. So like IBO, that one's done. That 3 breakdown trade came and went. MLGO, this thing's doing nothing for such a volatile move, and it's just chopping around. Insane. Not sure what to do with this quantum sector. We did get some pops up into those mid 9s today that ended up failing pretty hard. And then this 870 level was low a day that confirmed, which was prior key levels from before. And now we're knocking on this $8 door with quite a bit of resistance overhead. Now, Qubit is holding up a lot closer to its recent highs. This one's way further off of its daily highs, but in terms of recent price action, this one's holding up a lot better. RGTI, same kind of thing. Failed, but not near its recent lows. QBTS definitely looking like the weakest out of the bunch. So same setup as IBO, same setup as AVGO, looking for that daily failed fall through momentum setup. And we've got those wicks versus 9s, so look for 8 to confirm, and I think could roll over. CRVO, still watching this one for a backside bounce. And then QBTS, CRVO. Thought I had something else. Maybe not. I thought I had another one. There. AQB. Thought I had another one to mention. This one here, volume starting to pick up. I don't really see any news with it. I checked FinViz. There wasn't anything that came. I can check IU. Uh, 441 last night. I don't see any news on it. I checked FinViz, I didn't see anything. But just noting it chart-wise, so we had that big move yesterday into close after hours that kind of got the move going. Then you get the gap down, trap shorts off open, squeezes out right into looking left levels into those 120s. So nice opportunity. I didn't have it on watch until this evening from Scan, just because it's up 40%. So I don't feel like I've missed it. I still feel like there's meat on the bone. A lot of times these ones that are under the radar, they get those big red candles that just completely round trip the daily move. So I think this could get back to 70 cents. And with this rounding top and these low ones, I'll be looking for pops back into daily resistance for that little rollover trade. We had that other one, was it OSRB? ORSB? What was it? What was the ticker? OSRH? Yeah, there we go. Was a gapper today. The gappers are not working nearly as nicely as they were for the past few months. This month has been a lot choppier, where you're having to risk overnights, getting that gap down, but there's like a lot more sideways action if you're not hitting the open, where a lot of times you were able to hit that opening range and then still get that fade into close. But what's been happening for the last couple weeks is they get that opening move for the first half hour to an hour, and then they're chopping around the rest of the day. PTPI pulled back, held, squeezed everybody out, and then round tripped again. There was Sugar, SURG, same thing. Gapper, you can see the wicks on the daily candle on both sides because it's closing flat. So you get that big move. Range is traded right here for the first 30 minutes of the day, and then look at that, from 228, 230 to 220 by close. Like, there's just no meat there if you're not nailing that opening chop. So I've taken a hands-off approach on the gappers until something shifts. I'm curious to see, I have no position on PTPI, but I'm curious to see, this one traded $1.5 billion. And in prior markets, when names have traded over 1 billion shares, they gap up the next day. In 2024, I believe it was, any name that traded over 1 billion shares gapped up 100% gapped up 100% of the time the next day. And then that slowly dwindled because there's not a whole ton of names that trade 1 billion shares. So the sample size was fairly small, but as more names got on the list, it went down to like a 70% win rate. But I haven't tracked them in a little while, so I'm curious to see what this one does. Quantum had a nice pull on all the names. Good call on IMTE. Here for the memories. Tina, Timmy, Wanda, Jeff. How's everybody doing? I hope you guys traded better than I did today. Looked like a freaking noob out there. Brokers looking at my account like, what's this guy doing? One of those days. But when you love the game, show up and do it all again tomorrow. Pretty much. So I'll look at QBTS, and given that we have the sector, I'll try to keep in mind the lessons I felt like I learned, but obviously didn't with AVGO and NVIDIA. So when I'm trading QBTS, if we break 8, then keep an eye on Qubit and the rest of the names. AQB, not really an A grade setup, more of like it's only up from 50 to 120. It's nothing crazy, probably a B, maybe a C+. So if nothing comes of it, I don't really care. So probably QBTS and CRVO will be my main watches into tomorrow. And try not to do too much. Timmy got smacked on IO and Q. Were you swing shorting it, or are you talking about like intraday? Like if you short opening range lows and get ground back? Or were you talking about daily wise where you're shorting like a breakdown and then getting grinded back? Curious on your time frame you're looking at. Yeah, swing. Gotcha. Yeah, they like QBTS was my main watch for a swing. I didn't take the swing on it. I just wasn't comfortable in the moment. But you get that wild move from 4 up to 12. This thing triples, double tops, traps longs that were looking for that breakout. You get that pullback, lower high, hard crack, and now you're looking for prior support to become resistance, which is exactly what happened. But each time it got there, it lasted so much longer than I would have expected. I was shorting bounces on this day into close. The gap down came all the way back. I covered that for, I don't remember if it was a gain or small loss, but it didn't really amount to much. And then we get that push up into 9 that fails. So then I'm looking at next day as, okay, bounces, but then continues higher. So I'm like, do I short this at 9 and risk 12? But then that completely ruins the risk reward, but will keep me in the trade. Or do I just let this thing chop around between 8 and 9 and then look for this 8 breakdown? So that was the route I ended up going, because I think I would have done the same thing and got chopped up trying to trade that swing idea. Ariel's done really well. He's in the IU room, one of the moderators in there. He's done some interviews with Anthony and stuff. He's hopped on some Sunday scans, and he's a swing trader, but he's done really well on quantums. He's short AVGO for this exact same breakdown trade, and he's swinging it. He's very much so in the money on that. I think his average on QBTS is somewhere up in here. Yeah, he's doing really well. He doesn't just swing long, he swings short. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, the previous run, it wasn't an easy short. We're in the same page there. Choppy. NVIDIA puts out some news, and that's where the move comes from. And then choppy. And then it runs, you get a little pullback, and then choppy. So it's a tough sector. It hasn't traded cleanly, but it is what it is. I'll keep an eye on it. But yeah, I think we'll leave it there. That's my watches for tomorrow. And I wanted to document the frustrations and trade reviews from today, so I can go back and take those lessons and try and grow from it. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see some of you in Investors Underground and the rest of you on the next watch list. So trade them well, and I will see you later. Peace.